Ava by Carole Maso, August 15, morning. Each holiday celebrated with real extravagance. Birthdays, Independence Days, Saints' Days, even when we were poor. With verve. Come sit in the morning garden for a while. Olives hang like earrings in late August. A perpetual pageant. A throbbing. Come quickly. The light in your eyes. Precious, unexpected things. Mardi Gras. A farewell to the flesh. You spoke of Triste, of Constantinople. You pushed the curls from your face. We drank 5-star Mitaka on the island of Crete and aspired to the state of music. Olives hang like earrings. A throbbing, a certain pulsing. The villagers grew violets. We ran through Genèt and wild sage. Labyrinth of Crete, mystery of water. Home. On the same street we practiced arias, sang sad songs, duets, received bitter news, laughed, wept. Green. How much I want you green. We ran through Genèt and wild sage. You are a wild one, Ava Klein. We were working on an erotic song cycle. He bound up the sea-soaked steps. She sang like an angel. Her breast rose and fell with each breath. Night jasmine. Already? On this slowly moving couchette. Not yet. Tell me everything that you want. Wake up, Ava Klein. Turn over on your side. Your right arm, please. Tell me everything you'd like me to. Your hand there. Slowly. Pollo alla diavola. A chicken opened flat, marinated in olive oil, lemon juice, on a grill, a Roman specialty. Up close, you are like a statue. After all the dolce, the nougat, candied oranges and lemon peel, ginger and burnt almonds, anisette, my sweet, after walnut biscotti and lovemaking, Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo, Francesco, what was conspiring against us, even then? The same corner I now turn in bright light, in heat and in some fear. I once turned in snow, and the mind calls up, reminded me of the way you looked that night, on your knees. Reminded of a simple game of hide and seek. Afterwards, a large fire. Sundays are always so peaceful here. A child in a tree. August. I dream of you and Louise and the giant poodle, Lily, in the beach. But it is not, of course, that summer anymore. August. They sit together on a lawn in New York State in last light, bent, but only slightly. Come quickly, there are finches at the feeder. Let me know if you are going. The small village, I could not stay away. My two dear friends, always there, arms outstretched, waiting. A dazzle of fish. My hand reaching for a distant, undiscovered planet. Through water. Where we never really felt far from the sea. He kept drawing ladders. Redressed as the morning star and birds. He bows his head in shadow. He turns gentle with one touch. In the Café Pourquoi Pas, in the Café de Rhin, in the Café Tout Van Bien, where we seemed to live then. We were living a sort of cafe life. Let me describe my life here. You can't believe the fruit. I'd like to imagine there was music. Pains in the joints, dizziness, some pain, certain pulsing. She's very pregnant. I'd like to imagine there was music in the background, and that you sang. What is offhand, overheard, bits of remembered things? Morning, and the nurses now. Good morning, Ava Klein. Ava Klein, Francesco says, helping me on with my feather headdress. Brazil, 1988. Venice, 1976. Quebec, 1980. Determined to reshape the world according to the dictates of desire, where we dressed as the planets and dance. Spinning to you. Charmed, enchanted land. Chinatown, a favorite Chinese restaurant. The way he held my hand, as if it were a polished stone. Steam and ginger. News that the actress you most wanted had agreed to the part and financing had come. On the street, rain, a yellow taxi cab. I love you. He bound up the sea-soaked steps. Music moves in me, shapes I've needed to complete. Listen, listen hard. It's cool at this hour, morning. How is it that I am back here again, watering and watering the gardens? And you are magically here somehow, a heartbeat away. We have a curious way, however, of being dependent on unexpected things, and among these are the unexpected transformations of poetry. And he is here in front of me asking, Qu'est-ce que tu bois? Blood and seawater have identical levels of potassium, calcium, and magnesium. Wild roses and rose hips. The rose. Qu'est-ce que tu bois? Summer in New York. I'm thirsty. I say water in my sleep. I'm thirsty. You bring me a tall glass of water and place it by my bed. And one is reminded of. We were driving from New York City up the Sawmill Parkway toward the Taconic and listening to the Wanderer Symphony of Schubert on the radio. I begged you to slow down, but as slowly as you drove, we were still losing it in the static, long before it finished. You are a rare bird. And I had to complete it in my head, which is different from hearing it completed on WNYC, though I sang it loud, all the parts. It was completing itself in Midtown Manhattan without us. Though I knew the ending and tried to sing it loud, without You Are Beautiful, forgetting any of the important parts. How is this for a beginning? There is scarcely a day that goes by that I do not think of you. Turn over on your side. My heart is breaking. New York in summer. The Bleecker Street Cinema. Monica Vitti on the rocks. Danilo laments the USA. He says we have forgotten how to be Americans. Maria excommunicata gets ready for the midnight show. The Bleecker Street Cinema closes for good. And suddenly it is clear. We are losing. The scales tip. Please invoice me, input me, format me, impact me. The bullet meant for Ricardo hits Renee instead. The bullet meant for target number 1 hits baby Fawn. A bullet kills Daryl, honor student. We will go to the river. We will rent a boat. There were flowers each day in the market in Venice. and how your hands trembled as a gift of exquisite yellow roses, so beautiful, and pas cher, Emma. To hear you say Japonica in your British accent once more. Tell him that you saw us. Because the corner of Broadway in West Houston is everyone's in summer. I think of his life, that somewhere else it was completing itself, somewhere outside my reach, without me. Though there was no way for me to know, unlike Schubert's Wanderer, how it was going to be played out. Somewhere a young girl learns how to hold a pencil. She writes A. To sing the endless variations on the themes he set up. 35 years old. Aldo. Because the Guandu, Anna Julia's favorite food, when we could finally bear to use it, was no longer good. Expiration date, 1989. I might turn the corner and there will be Cha-Cha Fernandez walking a Doberman Pinscher. I can see it all from here. Rare butterflies, nymphets by the pool. Danilo working out an unemployment scam for himself, plotting a trip to Prague. Can you come? The Prague, the Paris, the Jupiter, to name a few. Can you come? I miss Czechoslovakia sometimes. I'll probably never see you again. Of course you will. I might look up and there will be the Fujifilm blimp, or Samuel Beckett in a tree. They are singing low in my ear now, in the morning garden. He grew roses. So what's the war about? Someone asks. In brief. Impact me harder. She finds herself on her 33rd birthday on a foreign coast with a man named Carlos. Never stop. He is worried the city will get better, but not for a while, and not before it gets worse. The man on the TV wants them to freeze his head while he is alive, and to attach his brain to another body sometime later, when they find a cure for his incurable brain tumor. How are you, Ava Klein? What answer would you be interested in other than the truth? Make a wish. The blue and purple in your black hair, Carlos. Danilo is writing a love story where the beloved makes the mistake of not existing. Ava Klein, you are a rare bird. Because decidedly, I do not want to miss the grand opening scheduled for early winter. Still some months away, of the new Caribbean restaurant down the block that will serve goat, or the cold, or Beaujolais Nouveau. And so, Monday, chemotherapy. Tuesday, Reiki. Wednesday, acupuncture. Thursday, visualization. Friday, experimental potions, numbers 1 through 12. Monday, chemotherapy. This room, white curtains to the floor, wide pine panels, painted white, like the room in a dream. The iris, Marie Claude, like you, so glowing and grave. Thank you for the tiger lilies. In an attempt between 1968 and 1970 to fashion a perfectly round sphere, he made 3,000 balls of mud, all unsuccessful. I wrote you 50 love letters. She has lived to tell it. How to make the family challah. Sugar, flour, oil, kosher salt, eggs, honey. I ran through broom and wild sage. We took the overnight train. You are a wild one, Ava Klein. The men hung swordfish in the trees to dry, sword snouts, teeth in the trees. He spoke of Triste, of Constantinople. He pushed the curls from his face, thought of buying a hat, perhaps. My first honeymoon. It was how the days went. The changing of the guard. In Crete, a gold-toothed porter. She sang like an angel. Her breast rose with each breath. I needed to travel. Ada sits in the day's first square of light. I love your breasts. It was Rome. I was 20, and you were 40 almost. You were making a film of the inferno. I laughed, imagining the task. I was a graduate student, a student of comparative literature. I held your giant hand. You pressed me against a broken wall in the furnace called August. I kissed you, or you kissed me. Yes, but it is not that August anymore. And in 1971, the artist carved 926 sculptures from sugar cubes. That evening, he led me into the circular room. A woman named Yvette Pouzon danced in a glass bar in the seaside resort in winter. A perfect gray sea, grayness of the days. Let me know if you are going. Snow fell on water. We took the overnight train. He kissed me everywhere. Shapely trees passing in the windows. A beautiful landscape, imagined in the dark. The way his body swelled. Trees that look like other things. He tries to conserve moments of existence by placing them in biscuit boxes. At the feeder, goldfinches. Danilo, my Czech novelist, with his deep mistrust of words, his fear of the Russians, his love of Nabokov. And Flaubert is not Madame Bovary, students. I don't care what he says. The Empire State Building is working overtime, emoting in colored lights for every cause known to man. International children, the Irish, hostages, 4th of July. Václav Havel. Everywhere in the world, people were surprised how these malleable, humiliated, cynical citizens of Czechoslovakia, who seemingly believed in nothing, found the tremendous strength within a few weeks to cast off the totalitarian systems in an entirely peaceful and dignified manner. We ourselves are surprised at it. Strange the way joy keeps changing. I remember the smell of rosemary and thyme in a young man's hair. It was a kind of parasite, Anatoly. He makes a record on which he tries to remember the lullabies he might have heard as a child. The morning nurse singing, let me know if you are going to Central Park. Lunch break, 12:30. I hear water. You come around the rounded stone fountain. Ça va? I say, and you nod. At La Fontaine de Quart Dauphins in Aix, where I wept. To see your beautiful head turn. To see your beautiful head turn once more. But we've already lost so much. The heat of a plot. I'm beginning to detect the heat of the plot. Garcia Lorca's feigning death. Václav Havel comes to town. Danilo tries to meet him on this, his triumphant visit. Havel, being pushed out for 5 minutes at a time here, there to speak with American dignitaries. Also with Frank Langella, Paul Simon, Carly Simon, etc., John Irving in the corner. Nobody wanted to talk to him. This one, that one. Poor Havel. Danilo looks pained. It was as if we had come in on a conversation midway. That was the kind of beginning it was. The late verses of Neruda vary widely in tone and texture. Their fluctuating musical impulses require a looser structure woven together less by the uniformity of lines than by the dying poet's sensibilities. A stroll around the park, while the weather's still fine. The ginkgo trees in fall. Un, deux, trois. Simple game of hide and seek. Danilo to his last crazy lover. I'm going to take the garbage out. And she responds, what, you're going to see Gorbachev now? She shakes her head. Go then. turn over on your side, and it will seem like music, a blue like no other. Maria Regina remembers the fascists. They told us to mourn the stairs 2 at a time. Often there is nowhere to go but forward or back. It is hard to stay here in one place, and especially at moments like these. I am afraid the news is very bad, Ava Klein. Now in America, they call this coffee, but I remember coffee. A simple game of hide and seek. The giant head of Francois Gillot in stone. We took photographs, though photographs were not allowed. Marie-Claude and Emma and Anatoly and me, smiling in the bright light and so much sea, and the room they called Joie de Vivre. The Picasso Musée, and Tibet. He was on his way to see Gorbachev when we met for the first time on the street. It seems that all along we were neighbors. 10, 11, 12. I kiss you 1,000 times. Making mysterious La Joconde face next to Francois Gillot one afternoon. Vladimir Nabokov. The book you sent me is one of the tritest and most tedious examples of a trite and tedious genre. The plot in those extravagant, deep conversations affect me as bad as movies do, or the worst plays and stories of Leonid Andreev, with whom Faulkner has a kind of fatal affinity. I imagine that this kind of thing, white trash, velvety Negroes, those bloodhounds out of Uncle Tom's Cabin melodramas, steadily baying through thousands of swampy books, may be necessary in a social sense, but it is not literature, and especially those ghastly italics. The emblem is for a group called Missing Foundation, an upside-down champagne glass with the champagne crossed out. The party's over is what the emblem stands for, and everything points to it, that the party is over. Would you like to have a perfect memory? Because there is still Verdi and sunlight and the memory of that man on the Riviera, and when memory goes, it is replaced maybe with beautiful, floating, free, out-of-context fish, orange and deep blue with tails like feathers, or Samuel Beckett learning to fly. Vitello tonnato, boneless veal roast, white wine, anchovies, capers, tuna, a sprig of thyme. It's a hot and lovely day, no humidity, odd for this city. A clear sky, high clouds, and the weather is for everyone. What's the rush then? Unable to get to you, Marie-Claude and Emma, any other way right now. I dream of the fish in your stone pond. I send you a report of the weather. We are making a day trip to Cap d'Antibes. How much we wish you were here. Aldo recalls his grandfather. He is gnawing on the end of an antiset biscuit with the perfect pointy teeth he acquired right before his death. Interviewer. If you could remember only one thing, what would it be? Frisch. A landscape or a man-woman relationship. Interviewer. If you could have written only one book, which would it have been? Frisch. It should have been a very excellent one, but since I didn't succeed in that, I had to write many. Actually, my feelings about that change from time to time. I think it would not be theater, but one of the narrative works. And if I'm still allowed to have a wish, I'd say none of the books, but a poem. Interviewer. What is your greatest regret? Frisch. Long pause. Yes, but of course not to be wise, not to be as wise as I pretend to be, that I'm not a little bit more serious. Yes, I would say that's it. That I'm capable of understanding the phenomenon of things, but always a little bit too late. Interviewer. And if you had only one wish? Frisch. That those liars who are holding power over others die of a soft, normal, natural disease. Interviewer. What have you found most satisfying about your achievements? Frisch. Not only the so-called success, but that this success created a partnership, a communication with lots of people whom I don't know personally, people of different generations and nationalities. That's a great satisfaction. I'm astonished about it and very grateful. Interviewer. What have you been least satisfied with? Frisch. I would say it changes all the time. Sometimes, for instance, what bothers me most is that I never had a real overview of my abilities, my capacities. I'm always a little bit blind. Interviewer: if you could have only one photograph to pass on, with whom would you be pictured and what would you be doing? Frisch: first, I know it wouldn't be a photograph of the young man, but a photograph of the old man, smoking a pipe, or not smoking a pipe, and not in action, not posing, if possible. After sex, after coffee, after everything there is to be said, the hovering and beautiful alphabet as we form our first words after making love.